Good evening. Welcome to Valhalla Sports Talk and the SKOL Report. Just a hangout night here in the stream here. I'm Jeff Cran, aka the Mad Viking. Just going to kind of hang out tonight, go over some of the draft rankings for the specific prospects, get an idea of what's coming up on the 23rd for the draft. Valhalla Sports Talk will be doing a live stream for the draft on the night of the 23rd, so look forward to seeing some folks come in. And we've already got a couple people in the chat, shockingly. I thought I'd be all alone here to start this deal off. Milton and JD Rance are both in here. How you doing, Milton? Yeah, nobody wants the Rona. And you got a bungee cord outside of your cubicle. Yeah, that'll keep it away there, Milton. I'm sure that'll keep it at bay. How you doing, JD Rance? Thanks for coming into the stream today. All we're really doing is kind of a hangout deal where we just hang out, go over the different draft prospects, kind of the rankings, where they're coming in the rankings as far as where they think they'll be drafted. And then at the end of the night, I'll probably do a mock draft, a 7-round mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings. Found a pretty cool site where you can even try to make trades. I did one earlier today where I traded down twice or 3 times in the first round and ended up getting 16 picks, and still got some really good players. There's a lot of value in the draft in those positions after the first round. Unbelievable value in the second and third round. So teams could get it going. I know, Milton, I know you're not a crazy football fan. I don't even know if you have a team. JD, do you have a team that you root for? Any team that you root for? I'm going to put a little music in the background there so there's not dead silence. I've been trying to get rid of that in my streams. Anyway, kind of what we wanted to start doing here is I wanted to go through like the consensus. The first thing I wanted to look at is like the consensus rankings, where people think that players are going to go in this draft. So let me go ahead and bring that up here. So like we said, it's a 2020 NFL Draft preview show and a Vikings 7-round mock coming at you tonight from Valhalla Sports Talk. Let's bring that graphic down. So here's the consensus big board as they've got it listed. I'm pulling this information from NFLMockDraftDatabase.com, an excellent site if you guys want to go and do your own mock drafts, kind of look at the different draft prospects and their rankings. But what we're looking at right now is the consensus big board. And it gives us an idea of where folks are projected to be drafted in the draft on the 23rd, right? So obviously number one, leading off the band, is Joe Burrow, the quarterback out of LSU. He's projected to be drafted number 1 by the Bengals. Excellent prospect. He's probably my biggest draft crush of this draft. I want to get into a little bit about him specifically, right? So he graduated as a senior last year, so he's not coming out as an underclassman. 6'4", 216 pounds, played for the LSU Tigers. He's graded a 4-star prospect coming out in this draft, so that's about as good as it gets. Some of his best traits, according to these folks, is he's got accuracy and a football IQ. I agree with that. He came out of nowhere last year for those LSU Tigers. Just an exciting prospect. Probably his worst trait, they say, though, is his arm strength. I don't know. I mean, he threw a ton of touchdowns for LSU. So if there is some arm strength issues there, I would worry more about something else than that, because he won a lot of football games last year and ended up taking LSU to that national title. So, like I said, my draft crush. His NFL comparison, according to these folks, is Tony Romo, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys, now a rich man with CBS Sports doing the announcing for them, right? So Burrow, again, projected to go to the Bengals at number 1 overall. Next up, Chase Young, What team wouldn't like to have a dominant pass rusher? We saw what that did for the San Francisco 49ers last year. Took them all the way to the big show, and they came up just short. So Chase Young, defensive end out of Ohio State, he's projected to be drafted at number 2 overall by the Washington Redskins. So let's look again at the little prospect rankings there and get an idea of what they think of Mr. Young. Some folks have him rated as the best player to come out this year in the draft. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if someone traded up to get him at 1, but who knows? You never know. His best trait as a football player is his pass rush. His worst trait is his pad level, so he stands upright a little bit, and some teams are concerned about that, but not enough that he's not going to go really, really early in the draft. There are currently no red flags on the young man, and his NFL comparison is Javon Curse, who had one hell of an NFL career, right? If you folks are in the chat, please again say hello. Let us know. I don't really want this to just be me throwing my opinions out there, because my opinions mean very little compared to the folks that are actually making the decisions here. But yeah, it's just a kind of an interactive thing if we can get it going, if we get enough folks to come in here and say hello tonight. But Chase Young, definitely an interesting prospect out there on the draft board. The next player up here in our little consensus big board is Jeffrey Okudah, the cornerback out of Ohio State. As you know, I mean, this is a Vikings channel, so we're always going to be talking about players that the Vikings would probably be majorly interested in. Okudah is the highest ranked cornerback on the board, and obviously a position of weakness for the Vikings as we've let go of a number of our cornerbacks and secondary players. So let's check out Mr. Okudah. Okudah is projected to be drafted at number 3 by the Detroit Lions. I'm friends with a number of Lions fans here on YouTube, and I would say the reception from them is kind of lukewarm or kind of mixed. Some of them would prefer to get Chase Young, but at least via NFL Mock Draft database, they're saying that Okudah is likely to be drafted at number 3 by Detroit. Let's get a little look at Okudah's specifics, okay? Okudah's cornerback out of Ohio State. He's coming out as a junior. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. And let's get a little idea of what they think his strengths and weaknesses are, right? So his round grade, they're saying, is incomplete. So there is some concerns if he's as good as his press clippings lead everyone to believe. But I still think, without a doubt, he is the number 1 cornerback on the board here. His best trait, they're saying, is reactionary quickness. So he is a great player in coverage, reacts quickly to the ball, and I think he had a number of outstanding defensive plays for Ohio State last year. His worst trait is he does not like to mix it up. He doesn't really like to tackle too much. So teams will be taking that into account as they decide if he's going to be the one for them. They're saying his player comparison is Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback, formerly of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I believe he's now playing for the Los Angeles Rams after forcing his way out of town. So another good prospect for folks to look into going into the draft. Bring up the next player up on the board here, Tua Tagovailoa. Did I say it right? Who knows? But he's the next one projected to go, and he's projected to go to the Miami Dolphins at the 5 pick. Excellent player for Alabama. He obviously had his season cut short last year when he injured that hip. So that's probably the biggest worry for teams on him, is his ability to stay healthy. But I guess we'll see, and time will tell if everything's okay there. Take a quick break here and check out my stream health. actually set it up at normal latency C, which usually bodes badly for me, but we'll see how this thing goes. So let's check into Tua Tagovailoa's recommendations here by the website. This Tua was actually the player that the Vikings ended up with. If you looked at like my earlier videos, I did a mock draft lottery. Instead of the teams picking their players, they got random players assigned to them via a lottery wheel, and Tua was the one that ended up with the Vikings at 21. So he dropped in that draft, and there are some folks that say he could drop in this one, but I guess time will tell. Just a few more days until we know for sure. But Tua was a 5-star prospect, right? He's 6'1", 219 pounds, played quarterback for Alabama. His best trait is his accuracy. His worst trait is what we talked about just now, is his durability. His red flag is that 2019 hip injury. Teams did check him out at the combine, presumably, but they haven't been able to bring him in since then due to the goings-on in the nation right now. So there's some worries that he could drop because that maybe scares some teams off. But I guess we'll see. We'll know on the 23rd. His NFL comparison is Drew Brees, according to these folks. So very mobile, very accurate. I again, going back to the Vikings, I wouldn't mind him ending up in Viking purple. I, however, don't think that's very likely, as he's pretty high up on that draft list, and we're picking in the 20s. So we're going to see how that thing turns out. Alrighty, the next player listed at number 5 is Isaiah Simmons, my second biggest draft crush of the year. Right, he's a linebacker out of Clemson. He's projected to be drafted at number 4 by the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants. Some rumblings out there that the Giants might actually trade out of that spot to get more talent there. So it could be an opportunity for a trade up if someone wants one of the other tackles or one of the quarterbacks that's on the board as well. But Isaiah Simmons, he can do it all, right? So let's kind of bring up his deal here. So Isaiah Simmons, we've got best trait is his versatility. So he can play linebacker, he can play cornerback, and at times he can even play up on the line and rush the passer. So I think this is kind of where the NFL is going. And if I had to say which player in this entire draft would help the Vikings more than any of them, it's this guy right here, Isaiah Simmons. At number 5, I believe it was. If the Vikings could move up and get him, I think it would be totally worth it. They could make him the center of that defense for the next 5 years. And I'm really, really excited about this player, and I hope we do move up and get him. Again, his best trait is versatility. Worst trait, zone coverage anticipation, which is kind of a problem for the Vikings because we play a lot of zone. We're actually playing a lot of everything now. We play a little bit of everything, but zone coverage anticipation. So I think some of that can come with experience as he works through the kinks getting into the NFL there. He's got currently no red flags, a blue chip prospect. He's ranked as a 4-star ranking. I don't know where they get their stars on this website here. But this is the draftnetwork.com where I'm getting their information. So 6'4", 230, coming out as a junior from the Clemson Tigers. So exciting player. Next up on the list for them anyway, in their the consensus big board, is Justin Hebert, the quarterback out of Oregon. Not exactly my favorite player on the board, but what do I know? I'm just a new guy at this stuff. But Justin Hebert, quarterback out of Oregon, projected to be drafted at number 6 by the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's check up the write-up on Mr. Hebert here. So he's a 6'6", so a tall quarterback, 227, senior, so he played in his final year of eligibility. Broke a lot of records for Oregon, right? So his best trait is his arm strength. His worst trait is his consistency. He currently doesn't have any red flags. I think, watching some tape on him, I think he is rather robotic in the way that he plays the game. He's always been the highest ranked dude on the board. So we'll see where he ends up. But as we mentioned, he's projected by these folks to go very high to the San Diego Chargers. Tristan Wirfs, they've got him going to, they don't have him going to anyone specifically, but they have him ranked as the 7th best player on the consensus big board. They even rank him at times first round pick, sometimes second, but he's the highest ranked offensive tackle according to this mock draft database. Another good ad would be a good ad for the Vikings at their pick if he managed to hang around till 21. So kind of just going through this list. I won't go through all of the specifics on all of them, but Jedrick Willis, the junior out of Alabama, he's been projected to be drafted at number 8 by the Arizona Cardinals. They need someone to protect their young signal caller that they drafted last year. So Mr. Willis could go at number 8, as high as number 8 to the Arizona Cardinals. Derek Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. Monster of a human being. He's projected to be drafted at 7 by the Carolina Panthers. We also have Mekhi Becton. He's an offensive tackle out of Louisville, projected to go at 10 to the Cleveland Browns. Excellent prospect at offensive tackle. Another need for the Vikings. Let me go look real quick and get some specifics on him. Now this ranking system has him way down there, it looks like. There he is. So he's coming out as a junior. He's 6'7", 369 pounds out of Louisville. Just a mammoth of a human being, right? Best trait is power at the point of attack. He's got some issues with his punch placement and his consistency. It doesn't have any current red flags. Going through different weight management might be an issue with him apparently, and his NFL comparison is Orlando Brown. So pretty interesting prospect there as well. So at 11, you've got Andrew Thomas, the offensive tackle out of Georgia. He's projected to be drafted at 14 by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know. I have a feeling Tampa Bay needs to protect Mr. Brady, who they just traded for or picked up in free agency, and so they'll probably go beefy on the line there because they already have the wideouts. They got a great crew of wide receivers there in Tampa Bay. They could probably use a running back too, though, but these folks anyway are projecting that he would go at 14 to the Buccaneers, the offensive tackle out of Georgia. Then we start getting into these wideouts. The wide receivers, right in this point, start coming off the board, it looks like. So you've got Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver out of Alabama, projected to be the number 1 wide receiver in the class, and they've got the Oakland Raiders picking him up at number 12. So the Raiders trying to find some weapons to break in their brand new stadium in Las Vegas, and so Jerry Jeudy is projected to be the pick at 12 for them. CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma, projected to go at 11 to the New York Jets. Now, these projections are based on a number of mock drafts. So that's kind of how they get where they're rated on the consensus big board right here. But Jerry Jeudy, like we mentioned, to Vegas, and then CeeDee Lamb, an exciting player for Oklahoma. I watched a lot of his games last year, and they've got him projected to be drafted at number 11 by the New York Jets. And so now the run on wide receivers has begun, and we get to Henry Ruggs III, projected to go at 13 to the San Francisco 49ers. Are they drafting that high? Let me check that. Not sure why they have them that high. I thought the Niners were way down on the list. Go to this other screen here. We'll look real quick. Oh, Frisco's got a pick at 13. It's the they got that from Indianapolis, so that's why they're so high up there. They've got an offensive efficiency ranking of 8th, defensive ranking of 3rd, and defense 20th, overall ranking 3rd. So if they had a weakness, it would be special teams. But their biggest on the offensive or defensive side is offense. So they probably need another wideout, which is why they have them picking him up at this pick here. So Henry Ruggs III to San Francisco at 13. At 15, Javon Kinlaw, the defensive tackle, unbelievable player, projected to be drafted by Jacksonville. They're saying at number 9. Let's take a look at Kinlaw a little bit here. So Kinlaw, let's pull that up real quick. So Kinlaw, they're saying his best trait is his upper body strength, and he's got some issues with processing the game as it's happening. So another thing that could come with experience. The best comparison for him, according to these folks, is Leonard Williams, who has shown out. I've got him on a number of fantasy teams. Hey, SKOL side, thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate it. I'm like you. I'm trying to get this thing started, man. Like your stuff too. It's been impressive to see you get hot here in the last couple weeks. So that's his draft comparison is Leonard Williams. Alrighty, so the next pick that they've got there, the next one that's ranked is C.J. Henderson. They've got him projected to be drafted by Dallas at number 17, a cornerback. So another player that the Vikings would love to be a player on, I think. Again, we have those issues at cornerback since we've let some folks go, but they've got him. They've got the Cowboys taking him just before we pick at 21 there, right? The 17th ranked player is K'Lavon Chaisson, the edge rusher out of LSU. Again, another one the Vikings would love to have. They've got him projected going a little bit earlier than we picked. They've got him going at number 16 to the Atlanta Falcons. There's just a whole bunch of LSU players on this top 20 here. Unbelievable team, unbelievable season. Just an exciting football team. And they're going to hear their name called a lot in this first round up on the 23rd here. But Chason, let's kind of peek into him a little bit. Chason, again, I mean, exciting edge rusher. Could help the Vikings as a replacement to Everson Griffin. Assuming that the Vikings don't bring Everson back at some point. I guess time will tell. I noticed that he hasn't signed with anybody yet, so I guess we'll see. We will see. Let's pull up Chason here. 6'4", 250 pounds, is coming out as a junior out of LSU, a 4-star prospect. And to get an idea, his best trait as a pass rusher, which is important, is his explosiveness. His worst trait is his production, so he hasn't exactly put up the numbers all the time. Red flags, a 2018 ACL tear, so that's pretty important. We've got some other folks that have joined the chat here. Schoolside says, I need the season to start and the draft needs to hurry. I agree, man. That's the only thing we've got to look forward to at this point on the sports side. And we do need the draft to get here. I'm going to do a live stream for the draft if you'd like to come on in and visit us and join the channel that night. But we're going to do the first round and then we'll see how it goes and probably do the second night at the very least. TG is in the streams. Who's my threat in the North? In the NFC North, the threat to the Vikings is always the Packers. And I don't really know where we're standing there. I'm kind of, if you catch me on a Monday, I'm kind of positive. If you catch me on a Tuesday, I'm kind of negative. It all depends on where it happens. I do know that Green Bay doesn't scare me like they used to. So I guess we will see. But nothing matters until the games are played, right? So it's just a matter of let's get into the season and let's hope there is a season. So continuing on here. We were just talking about K'Lavon Chason, again, the edge rusher out of LSU. And like I said, another player that the Vikings, I think, will have their eye on. It all depends on what direction they go. If they were to get Griffin brought back to the fold before the draft, then maybe they don't look for an edge rusher early on. And I think they do have some confidence with the folks that were behind Griffin, too. So maybe that's not where they go. We all know that Zimmer loves them corners, so maybe that's what happens in the draft there. Next pick there, next rating is number 18, Justin Jefferson out of LSU. He's projected to be drafted at 21 by Philadelphia the most. Philadelphia, they've been active in free agency. They've drafted or picked up a lot of guys, spent a lot of money here in free agency, but they still don't have a lot of weapons for Carson Wentz. So they're thinking that Justin Jefferson could be the playmaker that they're looking for in Philadelphia. TG in here saying the Lions are so dumb. He's probably trying to get me in trouble with the gridiron blitz or something. But yeah, I don't know what the Lions are doing, TG. I for a while there, I thought they were going to give up on Stafford as the as free agency started. There were rumors that they were going to go another direction there. But Stafford's a good quarterback. I think the issue there has always been their defense, and their other issue has always been they've never been able to find that go-to running back. Now, running backs nowadays are discounted by the NFL, but man, if the Lions went out and drafted, a running back early, it wouldn't shock me at all, because that's the one thing that they can't seem to finally get taken care of. They also could probably use some help on the outside as well at wide receiver, but their biggest issue is that defense, where they have the biggest problems. The next player up here in the rankings at number 19 is Jordan Love, the quarterback out of Utah State. Everything I've seen on this guy, it's either love or hate. I mean, I think he's the biggest love-hate prospect in the draft by the national media. They've got him projected to go at 23 to the New England Patriots, and I think there's a good chance that could happen myself. He's an absolute bomber. This guy can throw the ball all across the field, so it will be interesting. Let's look at kind of some of his numbers real quick and what these folks are saying about him. I mean, this other site here has him ranked way down there. There he is. So he's a 6'4" quarterback, 223 pounds. Comes out of Utah State, right? They've got him ranked as a 3-star prospect. Coming out as a junior. He does wear the good jersey number, right? So he wears the 10. But his best trait is his physical gifts, okay? So he's just a prototypical football quarterback, right? He's tall, got the weight, he's not lanky. His worst trait, they're saying, is his decision making. He threw a lot of interceptions last year. So that's something he'll have to get better at, especially if he ends up playing for Belichick in New England there. They're saying there are no red flags on him, but his NFL comparison is Colin Kaepernick. So I see some of that, I guess, in some of the tape that I've watched of him. That'd probably be a decent comparison for him. So I guess we'll see. We'll see if he ends up with the New England Patriots. Next one up on the draft and on the pick list here at number 20. Okay, the number 20 on the rankings is Josh Jones, the offensive tackle out of Houston, projected to be drafted at number 18 by Miami. Who did they pick Miami to pick earlier? So they're thinking this will be the guy that protects Tua, right? And he is a beast, excellent offensive tackle from the looks of it, and he is going to go very high, and it looks like they're saying he's going to be drafted at 18 by the Miami Dolphins. Next up on the list is 21, Christian Fulton, the cornerback out of LSU, is projected to be drafted at number 15 by the Denver Broncos. Denver needs some help in that secondary there. They think they've found their quarterback of the future in Locke, and they're going to roll with him, so should be interesting. So looks like we got a little run here that starts at 22, Xavier McKinney, the safety out of Alabama. He's projected to be drafted at 31 overall by the San Francisco 49ers. Excellent coverage safety, it looks like, and wouldn't shock me at all. That's probably about all that Frisco needs other than a wideout. So they had drafted a wideout earlier, they're thinking. Yep, they projected him to go, that Ruggs would be drafted at 13, and then they go ahead and shore up the secondary on the other side of the ball with Xavier McKinney there. And then the Las Vegas Raiders are next up here, apparently. Kenneth Murray at number 23, the 23 ranked player on the consensus big board. They've got him projected to go at 19 to the Las Vegas Raiders. And who did Vegas get projected to get earlier? So they're pairing him with Jerry Jeudy. So again, an offense-defense flip for these teams that have more than one number one pick in the NFL draft. So that's pretty interesting there. And then next up at 24 on the consensus big board is Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU. He's projected to be drafted at number 24 by the New Orleans Saints. So the Saints working on the defensive side of the ball. Excellent offensive team, obviously. They need some help in the middle, according to these folks here. 25 on the consensus big board, Yetur Gross-Matos. He's projected to be drafted at number 27 by the Seattle Seahawks. I see him on a lot of mock drafts going to the Minnesota Vikings at 21, but we will see. All right, next up, 26 on the consensus big board. 26 is AJ Espinosa, They've got no consensus available on where he's going to go, but they're just saying he's probably a first-round pick. I've seen his name come up a lot with the Vikings at 21 and 25 as well. 27 on the consensus big board is Trayvon Diggs, projected to be drafted at number 20 by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't project him to go to the Vikings because they're probably not going to bring that drama in with him. The younger Diggs was part of the whole Twitter facade with his older brother. He even posted him in a Washington Redskins jersey on his Twitter account, and then he was obviously there today that Diggs wore the Cardinals jersey when he was visiting the facility there with his brother. But anyway, I don't see the Vikings bringing any more Diggs drama in after they just sent him back into the Buffalo Bills. Here we go. 28 on the 2020 consensus big board is T. Higgins, the wide receiver out of Clemson. He's probably my favorite guy to pick when I'm doing mocks for the Vikings. I seem to end up with him almost every time. But he's projected to be drafted at number 22 to Minnesota. Here's another one that I end up seeing a lot on the Viking mocks that I do. Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle out of USC, ranked 29 on the consensus big board. They don't have him going to anyone specifically. They just say he's a possible first-round pick. I've seen him a lot in the top of the second a number of times. All right, number 30 on the consensus big board is Denzel Mims, the wide receiver out of Baylor. He's projected to be drafted at number 30 by the Green Bay Packers, and probably a place that he could go. Green Bay wants to line up another wide receiver outside of Devontae Adams, and so wouldn't shock me at all if they went wide receiver at pick 30 there. This is a crazy deep wide receiver class, though, and you can pick them up, it looks like to me, in anywhere in the first, the second, and the third, and still get unbelievable players. So we'll see. We'll see what Green Bay does there at 30. I've seen a couple times, and I think there's a chance that if Jordan Love falls to 30, that the Packers might bring in some competition for Rodgers. I think the whole Rodgers thing in Green Bay is coming to an end here pretty quick, and we will see. We'll see what happens there. We will see what happens there. The 31st ranked player on the consensus big board here is Grant Delpit, the safety out of LSU. Again, another guy that I've seen go first, second, top of the second. These folks here are saying no consensus available on him, but he is a possible first round pick. So we've gone through 31 of these folks. Have a little drink of beer there, and I'm still talking to myself at this point again. But all right, Jeff Gladdy is the 32nd ranked prospect, and he's projected to be drafted at 25 by the Minnesota Vikings. So they're thinking the Vikings are going to go. What did they pick before? I don't remember. Or what did they project, I guess? T. Higgins. So yeah, if they went offense, it wouldn't shock me, obviously, if they went the other direction there. Went for cornerback there at that second pick at 25. I personally think they'll trade down with one of those picks and get a couple more second and thirds. And I don't think that's a bad idea. I did a draft earlier today where I traded both those one picks and moved down like 3 times and ended up getting a crazy number of picks, a crazy number of second and thirds. And there's a lot of value in the second and third round. And the Vikings have a lot of needs at this point too. So be interesting to see what they do. Be interesting. And when I do the mock later in the stream here, we'll check that out. So that was right there, Jeff Gladney, the cornerback out of TCU. And then 33 is Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver out of TCU. They don't have him with a projection or anything, but he's an unbelievable talent too. One of those guys that I said could be available in the second, early second, mid second, and exciting, exciting. Next up, 34 on the consensus rankings is DeAndre Swift, the running back, the first running back we've seen in these rankings, right? Because I don't know why, but the running back has been devalued in the NFL, and they're just saying you can find him later, right? So DeAndre Swift gets ranked 34th. His peak, I guess, in these rankings in the offseason here was at 31, but they've got him projected to be drafted at 26, so right after the second Vikings pick by Miami. So Miami's having if this was how it went, Miami would be having a beastly draft, right? They'd have Tua, then they get the other guy. Let's see who they had before. So Tua was the first one. Then Josh Jones to protect him, right? And then they go ahead and get a running back as well. So I mean, just unbelievable promise there, right? If these guys turn out to be what they're being graded as, but Miami's got them 3 first rounders, so I don't know how you screw that up. So we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. Alrighty, so that's probably a good little place to break here. Take just a second to break. Alrighty, and I'll be back in just a moment, okay? Alrighty, so welcome back from that short break there. So in the first hour here, we're just kind of going through the 2020 consensus big board as far as where different websites have these players rated going into the draft on the 23rd here, and we're kind of in the 30s here. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each specific player, but I'll pick up some big names that I see coming up here. We just ended with DeAndre Swift projected to go to 26 to Miami. Again, quite the haul for them if it goes according to the projections, with Tua, the offensive tackle, and then getting the number 1 rated running back in the draft here. So that would be pretty cool for them. 35 there you see on your screen. Zach Brown, the linebacker out of Wisconsin. He's peaked at 32 and he's still sitting around 35. And they've got him projected to be drafted by Baltimore at number 28 to shore up the middle of that defense there. And what a defense they're going to be again in 2020 here. So that should be really interesting to see. 36 ranked on the big board there is A.J. Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson. He's projected to be drafted at 32 by Kansas City. Again, an area of need for the Super Bowl champs. But A.J. Terrell, another guy, the Vikings would probably not be too disappointed if they ended up with him wearing purple and gold. 37 there you see Laviska Shenault. He's peaked at like number 22 in the rankings, and now he's dropped down to 37. They don't have a projection on him specifically, but a lot of people really high on this young man. They've got him ranked to go early on to a number of teams, and I don't know, 37 seems kind of low to me. The draft will tell the tale, but he's supposed to be one of the most exciting players coming out in college football this year. Again, if you folks end up in the stream, you end up in the chat, please say hello, say howdy, let us know how you're doing tonight. Helps me out, gives me someone to talk to while we're doing these. Let's look a little bit further down here. You see some of these players here. Ross Blacklock, the defensive tackle out of TCU, another unbelievable prospect. Brandon Ayuk out of ASU. He's been up there as high as 34. They got him ranked at 40 now. Ezra Cleveland, I've seen some buzz about him for the Vikings as an offensive tackle, a need for us. Out of Boise State, and he's stayed pretty firm at 42 there, so they think he'll go somewhere early in that second round. The Beast, Jonathan Taylor, sitting there at 43 with a high of 38 in the consensus rankings. I've seen some stuff where he's ranked higher than the running back out of Georgia there. So he had a good combine, from my understanding. And so we could see what happens there. Excuse me as I burp into the microphone there. Antoine Winfield, talked about a lot in the Viking community. He's obviously the son of the Winfield that played for us for a long time, a popular player for the Vikings. I don't think any Vikings fan would be too upset if we ended up with him. He is playing safety, though, so if we end up keeping Anthony Harris, I don't see us going early on to pick him up, but we will see. We're going to see, just like we do with everybody else, right? Terrell Lewis, edge, Alabama, projected to go to 29 in that first round by Tennessee. Edge rushers, man, that's what changes the defense, right? So we'll see what happens with Terrell Lewis there. We'll go further through here and see if we see any other names. J.K. Dobbins, that running back out of Ohio State, he's gone up 4 in the rankings. His peak was 47. He's currently at 55, but lately he's gone up 4 in the rankings on that mock draft database here. Jalen Hurts, the quarterback out of Oklahoma. I've seen him mentioned in Viking land as a possibility for the Vikings. But we'll see what happens there. I don't think he ends up with us, but time will tell the tale. So that's kind of we'll just kind of parse through these a little bit and let you look at them. Unbelievable value there from 30 all the way through 100. Some great players in here. A.J. Dillon, the running back out of Boston College. Tyler Johnson, the wide receiver out of Minnesota. Again, would love to see him wearing purple and gold. Of course, I want them all, apparently, for the Vikings. Thaddeus Moss, again, another alumni type, where obviously Ratty Moss played for the Vikings. And we could probably use another tight end, I think, with the offense that we run. But tight end at LSU's went up 13 spots this week, projected at 112 overall. So exciting prospect there, and kind of that second to the third round. So that's kind of where we're at here. So our first hour is over here, and I want to go into what's called a consensus mock draft. So where are these guys showing up on consensus when you're looking at all these mock drafts? Are done, the millions and millions of mock drafts that are done across the nation here. Where do these folks come up on those consensus mocks, right? So the biggest guy again is Joe Burrow, the quarterback at LSU. They've got him mock draft popularity is 96%, with him going number 1 overall to the Cincinnati Bengals. They keep the hometown kid, or the home state kid, I guess, close to home, and try to turn that whole franchise around with a guy that just set the world on fire last year for the LSU Tigers. And so they've got a 96% chance of him going to the Cincinnati Bengals at number 1. Chase Young, the defensive lineman out of Ohio State, they've got him an 89% chance of him going to the Washington Redskins at number 2. And I don't think that's a stretch by any stretch of the imagination, right? So that's really where he could end up. And we will know on the 23rd. Again, Valhalla Sports Talk and the SKOL Report will be doing a live stream of the draft, irregardless of if we get one person to view it or 50 people to view it, right? We're going to be here anyway. So that's where they've got Mr. Young scheduled to go, is to Washington at number 2. Okudah, the Jeffrey Okudah, it's spelled wrong, by the way. E-R-Y is how you're supposed to spell Jeffrey. My mother told me that. But they've got Okudah going to the Detroit Lions at number 3, the cornerback out of Ohio State. 72% chance that he goes to the Lions at number 3 overall. Shout out to the Giants fans out there. They've got Isaiah Simmons, again, my favorite player in the draft as far as who I'd like the Vikes to get the most. They've got him going to the New York Giants at number 4. 24% chance. I wonder why that's so low for him to go to the Giants at 4. A lot of folks I've seen have got the Giants trading out of that spot to acquire more picks and more talent. Big mistake, I think, if they let Simmons move on down the line. Number 5, you've got Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback out of Alabama, with a 69% chance of going to the Miami Dolphins at number 5. Again, Tua, exciting player. The only big scare on him apparently is that the injury history. He's got not only the hip, he had concussions, ankle injuries, things like that. So there is some worry there. But Tua Tagovailoa to number 5 to the Dolphins. Dolphins, again, 3 picks. 3 picks in the first round because they did a fire sale last year, let everybody go to acquire draft capital for this draft, and they've got Tua scheduled to go at 5 to the Miami Dolphins. 69% chance of that occurring, according to the NFL Mock Draft database. Justin Hebert, that quarterback we talked about a little while ago, quarterback out of Oregon, they've got a 63% of him chance of him being the replacement for Phillip Rivers in San Diego. They're actually in Los Angeles. I still get that wrong. I can't believe they left San Diego to be the second fiddle in Los Angeles, but they did. And so 63% chance of Mr. Hebert going to the San Diego Chargers at number 6. Derek Brown, the defensive lineman out of Auburn, there's a 42% chance of him ending up with the Carolina Panthers to try to right the ship there. Carolina's gone through a lot of changes in the offseason. They've let go of Cam Newton, sent him packing, and so this should be really interesting. Bringing in Derek Brown to protect Teddy Bridgewater, the new quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. 42% chance of him ending up in Carolina, so that's really interesting. And go Teddy B. I hope you do well, unless you're playing the team in purple that hails from Minnesota. Jedrick Wills Jr., the offensive tackle, Alabama. They've got him a 24% chance of going to the Arizona Cardinals to help protect their young signal caller, right? So I could see that as a very distinct possibility. They've got to shore up that offensive line there. I wouldn't be shocked there if the Cardinals went wide receiver either there, but we will see. Javon Kinlaw, defensive lineman out of South Carolina, at number 9 to the Jaguars is a consensus pick in all mock drafts. 11% chance of him going to the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 9. Alrighty, now we're coming out of the top 10 here. Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle, Louisville. 24% chance that he goes to the Cleveland Browns at number 10 to help protect Baker Mayfield and those unbelievable wide receivers they have in Cleveland. So we'll see. Makes sense to me. Number 11, CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, Oklahoma, to the New York Jets. At 18% probability rating there of him going to the Jets. So we will see. Exciting wide receiver there. And this is kind of interesting that CeeDee Lamb is going before Judy now in a lot of these mock drafts. So that's kind of maybe breaking news here on the SKOL Report. All right, at number 12, you got the Oakland Raiders, wide receiver Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama. 35% mock draft popularity here. Going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Did I already mess that up? But Las Vegas Raiders in need of some playmakers there. They picked that franchise running back last year up, and now they're going to try to pair him up with somebody on the outside there, right, to put some pressure on those defenses. So Jerry Jeudy at number 12, consensus to the Oakland Raiders. Then Frisco, the San Francisco 49ers need some help on the outside there. They've got some wide receivers, some youngsters that are doing very well, but they think they need to up that up. And they got Henry Ruggs, the wide receiver out of Alabama, 20% draft popularity on the mock drafts. They got him going to the 49ers at 13. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've got kind of a new player in town there for Tampa Bay, right? So you've got Tom Brady, the newest Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I didn't see that coming. Did you? But he's going to go be the new quarterback for Tampa Bay and try to bring the Bucs back to the Super Bowl. Kind of worked out good for Tampa Bay one time before. They traded for a signal caller out of Minnesota by the name of Brad Johnson, and Brad Johnson went to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl with them, and so that's pretty interesting. They bring Tom Brady at the end of his career as well, and they apparently think he's going to be there a while because they want to bring in Andrew Thomas, a highly rated offensive lineman out of Georgia. Mock draft popularity of 20% on the mock draft database. So pretty interesting there. Christian Fulton, the cornerback out of LSU, only a 5% mock draft popularity chance of going to the Denver Broncos at 15. Should be interesting to see. Denver could go cornerback very, very easily, but they've got some other needs as well. trying to think off the top of my head. I think stay away, Rona. Trying to think if they think they've got their quarterback right. They probably could use some help on the outside too, at wideout. But at least for this in mock drafts that are held across the nation, there, they think it's a 5% chance of him going to the Denver Broncos. Christian Fulton. Kayvon Chason, the edge rusher out of LSU. Man, it just seems like I'm saying LSU, LSU, LSU. They've got so many guys that are projected to go early on in in the draft here. Just gives you an idea of what an unbelievable team they were last year. But Kayvon Chason, they've got him, the edge rusher out of LSU. They've got him likely to go to the Atlanta Falcons at 16. Atlanta let go of some players here, and they've got some holes to fill. So 37% mock draft popularity and a chance of him going to the Falcons. At 17, C.J. Henderson, the cornerback out of Florida. He's got a mock draft popularity of 19%, of him likely going to the Dallas Cowboys at 17. Cowboys could definitely use some help on the edge there. And I actually thought that the Cowboys would look into Xavier Rhodes when he left the Vikings there. But they didn't, and so they need some help there. So their mock drafts are projecting that C.J. Henderson out of Florida will end up with the Cowboys at 17. 18, the Miami Dolphins. We talked earlier about how they're picking, how they've got the 3 first-round picks in the draft here, and what directions they could go. So you're going to get a new signal caller likely at their high pick there, and then likely they protect him with an offensive lineman right at their second pick. So a lot of folks in their mock drafts are thinking that Josh Jones is going to be the answer, that offensive tackle out of Houston. 18% mock draft popularity, and they're saying that he'll likely go to the Miami Dolphins at 18. Alrighty, Kenneth Murray, the linebacker out of Oklahoma, going at number 19 to the Los Angeles Raiders. Mock draft popularity of 20% for this young linebacker. Another one that I kind of like for the Vikings, but I'm not sure if we'll go linebacker. But he's a beast, and I think he's going to be good in the NFL. 20, Trayvon Diggs, that cornerback out of Alabama, going at number 20 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's got a mock draft popularity of 8%, so some folks are kind of hemming and hawing on whether he could likely go to the Jaguars, but there is a chance because they do need some help on the outside there after getting rid of Jalen Ramsey. Here's one we always see for the Vikings, but Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU, going to the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked earlier about how active the Eagles have been in free agency, and how they're trying to get some weapons for all of their free agent acquisitions have been on the defensive side of the ball. They haven't got anybody on offense through free agency, so they're thinking they're going to go heavy in the draft on the offensive side. So Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU, mock draft popularity, 30% of the folks that do mock drafts are thinking that Justin Jefferson ends up with the Eagles at number 21. Alrighty, and then the next, we're finally on the clock for the Vikes here, and I think I've been saying 21 the whole night, but we're at 22 and 25 is where the Vikings pick. And at 22, T. Higgins, the wide receiver out of Clemson. They've got a mock draft popularity of 10%, meaning 10% of the drafts, people are picking Higgins to the Vikings. I've probably picked him on 90% of my mock drafts. It's not usually in the first round, however, but at least by this site's projections there, they've got him going to the Vikings at 22. And then the Patriots, kind of sandwiched in between those two Vikings picks. You got the Patriots sitting there, and they've got Jordan Love getting picked up by the Patriots at 23. 18% mock draft popularity. Quarterback out of Utah State, going 23 to the Patriots. 24, you got them New Orleans Saints. Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU. Another interesting player, another one that I like for the Vikings, who are not going to draft linebacker, I don't think, but who I would draft linebacker for. But they've got him picking up Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU. 16% mock draft popularity there, so that takes us through 24. Could have wet the whistle there a little bit. 25 to the Vikes, Jeff Gladney, the cornerback out of TCU. 7% chance of him going to the Vikes, apparently, at 25. I don't know, somewhere in this 22-25 range. I have a feeling, and I'm not sure why, but I have a feeling that the Vikings are going to try to go quarterback if any of them fall, if any of the top three fall. But we'll see. We'll definitely see, and that's why we watch, right? Should be exciting. But likely picks for the Vikings are supposed to be cornerback and offensive tackle. So we'll see. Jeff Gladney, cornerback, TCU, good player. Wouldn't be mad if that's who we ended up with. But 7% of the mock drafts are picking him for the Vikings at 25. And then we get right back into DeAndre Swift, right? That running back out of Georgia. Got him going to the Dolphins, right? We saw earlier that they projected them getting Tua, the offensive tackle, and DeAndre Swift. 23% chance that Swift ends up as a Miami Dolphin, according to these folks. And it's makes sense to me. Makes sense to me, totally. I don't think Dolphins fans would be upset with that at all if that was the 3 picks that they ended up with in the first round there. But 23% mock draft popularity for DeAndre Swift, the running back out of Georgia. All right, at 27, you've got Yetur Gross-Matos, the edge rusher out of Penn State. This I think could have a lot to do with whether Clowney gets signed by the Seahawks or not, whether this starts rolling in a different direction here in the next week or so. But I think Clowney might have signed today with another team. Let me look real quick and see if that's the case. Since I'm not bothering anybody, it's just me in here. All right, so. I don't want to do that. I don't want to mess that up. Let's do this. Going into Twitter real quick to check it out. So going into the old Twitter here. I thought I saw earlier in the day that there was a chance that he went somewhere. Yeah, it looks like by Twitter he hasn't gone anywhere. Or just someone putting up a fake link or something earlier on Twitter. So yeah, nothing there, nothing there. That'll be interesting to see how that turns out. So, like I mentioned, Yetter Gross-Matos to the Seahawks at 27% chance of that occurring. Like I said, it's all going to depend on A, Clowney, and B, I've heard a lot of interest from them for Everson Griffin too, but we will see. We will see. 28, Zach Bond, the outside linebacker out of Wisconsin, going to the Ravens. Didn't we just send one to the Ravens? Anyway, 11% chance, so it's not crazy high on most people's mock drafts, but they do have him going to 28 to the Ravens. Terrell Lewis, the linebacker out of Alabama, 7% chance to the Tennessee Titans at 29. Denzel Mims, the wide receiver out of Baylor. I know a lot of people are in love with this guy. 15% chance he ends up going to the hated Packers in the NFC North, the wide receiver out of Baylor at 30. So we'll see there. Rodgers does need some more weapons on the outside there, and so that wouldn't shock me if they end up with a wide out there, and we will see. Xavier McKinney, the DB out of Alabama, to the San Francisco 49ers at 31. 13% chance of that occurring. So we will see. We will see Xavier McKinney, the defensive back out of Alabama. And it's just a run on DBs and cornerbacks, right? So A.J. Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson, going to number 32 to the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champs, at 9% chance of that occurring, right? So very interesting, very interesting. And that takes us through the 2020 consensus mock draft here, as far as where the mock drafts are saying that these players are going to go. So pretty interesting thing to look at there. So I'm going to just take we're sitting at an hour and a half into the stream here. Let me change up something here. And we do ask you folks, if you do end up in here or watching it at a later date, to please hit that subscribe button and help my channel grow a little bit. I don't have any folks in the stream here viewing at this point, so it's kind of sad. But anyway, subscribe and help us grow a little bit. Maybe we get some folks in here to liven up the stream a little bit. All right, we will, as I mentioned before, Valhalla Sports Talk and the SKOL Report will be doing a draft party the night of the draft on the 23rd. So we do ask you to join us, get in here and make some noise, and we'll root on our teams. I will have the ability to bring folks in to the stream. If you've got a team that you're rooting for, I'll be able to bring you in either on voice or on camera. So hit us up. We'll bring you in and let you brag about your team a little bit, or about your excitement for the draft. This next section here, we're going to do the actual draft simulation for the Vikings here, a 7-round draft. There are trades allowed, and like I mentioned earlier today, I did go in and I did 2 versions. I did one where I stood pat and just took what was available to me at those picks, and then I had another one where I traded completely out of the first round, and so I think I'm gonna do a little bit of both of those. We'll just see how it goes. So what I'm gonna do is take about a 5-minute break, and I'll be back to do the third section of our live stream tonight, and I will be right back. Alrighty, everybody, I'm back. Had to refill my beer. Thanks for hanging out. If you're in the stream here, appreciate it. So we're about to get into the section here where we actually do the mock draft for the Vikings here. I haven't really decided what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna try to trade up, trade down, what we're gonna do, but we'll go ahead and see how this thing goes. If you're in the chat there, please say hello. If you're a Viking fan in the chat, definitely say hello and tell me what you think I should or should not do. Oops. Alrighty, sorry about that. Had a little feedback there. Left the channel open there. So, like I said, we're going to get into the mock draft portion here. And let me bring this up. And we're obviously going to be the Vikings in this scenario. 7 rounds. Make this thing go slow here so we have some time to try to trade here. Make it manual, aggressive, and we'll have strict trading rules, meaning they won't let me have their pick for nothing, right? So here we go. Let's start this draft. All right, so let's pause it right here at the top here. So Burrow ends up going right away to the Bengals, as most prognosticators have said, and the Redskins are on the clock currently selecting. As we mentioned before, we think Young will go off next here to the Redskins. I think the Redskins would be open to a quarterback here too, by some reports that I've seen. My dynasty league that I'm in would be a disaster because I picked Haskins early last year in a very deep dynasty league that I'm in. So I'll be watching this pick closely when it comes to that league specifically. But a lot of folks say that can't miss on Chase Young right here. They got to take him. Let's go ahead and unpause this thing and see how it goes. Bring the screen up a little bit for you folks here too. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and continue. Let the Redskins pick and pause it again. No rush, no rush. I got beers to drink. Redskins shock us. They go Akuda at number 2. The chances of this happening are minimal at best, but in this scenario, that's what they did. And so Akuda, the cornerback at Ohio State, goes to the Redskins at 2. Redskins Nation is likely screaming. iTest Sports, welcome to the stream here, man. I appreciate the company. It gets kind of lonely in here for us new YouTube guys, but we're doing a mock draft here, and I'm the Vikings. Do you have a team that you root for, iTest? Might let you. Crazy that they went Akuda at 2. I was pretty shocked. So the Lions are on the board here, and Lions now you've got Young just sitting out there for him, like a cheeseheads. The Packers, huh? All right. So hang out and let's see who they get. Let's continue this thing and see who the Lions pick. Then I'm going to pause it again. So of course the Lions, they have the Dolphins. Okay, well you guys are going to have an exciting night on the 23rd. iTest Sports. I don't know how you guys could possibly mess this deal up. You're going to get, and your picks are like, they're all the way through that first round. So you guys could move up, down, all kinds of crazy stuff. But Young falls to the Lions here in this mock draft at 3, and they scoop up Chase Young. As a Viking fan, I'm screaming at this point. What did he go there for? We didn't want him there. But That's where he went. So let's go ahead and continue this thing. The Giants, we're hoping, obviously, they probably thought, man, Young could fall to us here. And Akuta's the one that I see go to them a lot in mocks. So this would be a really weird start to the deal. But let's go ahead and let them make their pick, and then I'll pause it again. And then my draft crush goes off the board to the Giants at number 4. Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker, who's been mostly projected to go to them, ends up going there after Young goes off the board. So the Giants get an unbelievable playmaker that they can play almost all over the field, and they're probably pretty happy at this point to get the linebacker out of Clemson. So iTest says if they draft Tua, it's the only way they mess it up. So you're not in on Tua. You don't think he's the way to go, huh? So who are you picking for them right here? Who are you hoping they would pick right here? If the draft came this way, where Burrow went already, Okudah left, and Young was gone, and Simmons, who are you thinking? Because I've seen a lot of folks on YouTube especially saying that, man, Simmons falling to them would be awesome. So you guys might be disappointed here. Nope, what? Oh, nope, you're not in on Tua. So that's probably who's going to go off here, I have a feeling. Derek Brown. Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, that's how you build the team, man. You build the team from the interior, right? Get the offensive line first, and then go from there. So you're good with Fitz being the quarterback this year in 2020? I'm going to let it go, and then I'll pause it again. Sorry, man. Sorry, man. Tua went. My draft crushes are gone at this point. So Burrow left right away, of course, and then Isaiah Simmons went to 4 to the Giants. You think that the Dolphins should get Cam Newton? I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, it all depends on his health, man. I think the only thing holding them up is the fact that they can't bring him in to check him out physically to figure out if he's okay. Know what? I'll wait for your response. I'm in no rush here. Oh, are you responding to Tua going off the board? I don't know how much of a delay there is to the stream here. All right, I'm going to let this thing continue here, and we'll go to San Diego. I'm thinking they probably do take old Justin Aber here, right? Let it go a little bit there. So you had Tua go, and then San Diego gets the... So Tua goes to 5 to the Dolphins, and then Wirfs goes to the San Diego Chargers to the best probably offensive tackle, or one of the top 2 anyway, in the draft goes to number 6 to the Chargers, who are going to roll with the quarterback that they have now. That could be another place, I test sports, where Cam ends up, of course. But Wirfs goes at number 6 to the Chargers. And then Justin Aber ends up with the Panthers, who just signed Teddy Bridgewater. So I don't know where that's coming from, but it'd be interesting. All hell breaks loose at this point, right? So we'll see what happens. The Cardinals on the board. Let's go ahead and let it continue. And I'm going to pause it right away because I think that I might want to try to move up in here. All right, and then the Cardinals do the right thing, right? They get a offensive tackle to protect their young signal caller, the offensive tackle out of Alabama, Jedrick Willis Jr. Go ahead and let this thing continue to roll. There hasn't been a wide receiver that's gone off the board yet, and we're sitting at number 9. So there's been rumors that the Vikes might move up to 14 to that Tampa Bay slot to try to select one of the top wideouts. I guess we'll see. Let's try to let it roll again. And there goes your guy, man. I Test Sports. Your guy Derek Brown goes to number 9 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to try to protect old Minshew. Oh no, my bad. Defensive lineman Derek Brown. My bad. Totally messed that up. But Jaguars need help on defense as well. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. They go ahead and get their defensive lineman of the future at number 9. Let's continue this. The Browns on the clock. They take our offensive tackle we were looking for, Mekhi Becton, the offensive tackle out of Louisville, to protect Baker Mayfield. So again, you're sitting here at all the way outside of the top 10 now, and you haven't had one of these receivers taken. So this is lining up pretty good for the Vikings if they want one of these wideouts. And Akuta's the only cornerback that's been taken, which is kind of how it's been set up. Go ahead and continue this. Wow, offensive tackles are flying off the board here. The top 3 are gone in the first 11 picks, with the Jets taking Andrew Thomas to protect their young signal caller. Offensive tackle out of Georgia. Now look at how the board lines up here. You got Judy, Lamb, and Ruggs lining up 12, 13, and 14 with teams that need wideouts. So if the Vikings want their pick of the litter, they need to come up. Yeah, Judy would be unbelievable eye test sports for the 49ers, I think, too. I mean, they got a good wideout last year, that youngster that they had as well, but Judy to pair with him. And then they probably go like running back later in the draft to try to solidify that running back area. But yeah, so the Raiders are sitting here. Raiders, Niners, Bucks. So you know Raiders and the Niners both want wideouts. So I'm going to go ahead and let this go. I don't think the Vikes would trade up at this point to try to get into here. Because I don't know which one of these 3 they would be the highest on. Everybody wants Judy, right? Right. I Test Sports. Just a wideout to pair with Debo. I think Debo is going to be legit, man. I mean, he was coming on near the second half of last season, and they just need somebody to pair up with him to take some of that pressure off. Correct. You beat a lot of guys this year. I Test Sports. That's why you were in the Super Bowl. All right, let's let the Raiders make their pick here and see who they get. I'm going to pause it right away. Judy to the Raiders. Judy to the Raiders. Kind of as anticipated, right? So now you're sitting here. You're a. What are you laughing at? I Test. Tell me who you're hoping the Niners draft as the board's laying here. Lamb or Ruggs? Judy already went. So you want CeeDee Lamb. Let's go ahead and see how it goes, all right? Here we go. They went Ruggs. They went Ruggs, man. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them. You know, I think they're probably rated about the same, but yeah, it's not going exactly how you wanted it to go there, I Test, but... All right, so here's a spot where I've seen a lot of talk about the Vikes moving up here. I don't see them moving up at this point. Not for Lamb. I think they would have moved up for Judy. But I don't see him moving up for Lamb. So you might have a team here. You'll take it. Yeah, nothing wrong with Ruggs. I mean, look at his numbers. He's an unbelievable receiver. And like you said, you pair him up with Debo. That's an unbelievable addition to a team that already made the Super Bowl last year. So the Bucs are an interesting spot here. You've got Brady, right? You draft him. So the assumption is you have to protect him, right? So you have to get an offensive lineman of some kind. But their running game has been putrid forever. So a little early, I think, for them to go for a running back here. So I think they'd probably be really active in trying to trade down here, especially for someone that might want Love. So maybe the Patriots come up here. But this mock draft deal doesn't do the trades other than the team that you're drafting. So nobody's trading up. So we'll let this run. And then I'll pause it. All right, so Ruggs goes off to Frisco, and then Kinlaw, the other defensive lineman, goes to Tampa Bay. So the defensive lineman out of South Carolina. So surprising that they didn't go O-line there, but we had a lot of offensive linemen taken there early on, so that might be why. So they go Kinlaw, who's a beast out of South Carolina, and then the Broncos come up. Broncos need what? I'm thinking, I mean, they had a lot of needs here. So the Broncos could go Lamb here. Or they could go Henderson. I mean, they need help all over the field. I don't know. We'll let it run. So Lamb goes to the Broncos at 15. I thought they might go Chase on too. I really thought they'd go Chase on there too, but nothing wrong with that. They get Lamb, the third ranked wide out on the board, and I think he's the biggest playmaker of the three. But yeah, Miller's getting old. True. All right, so the Falcons are up at 16 here. Falcons are up at 16. They've got Henderson, the cornerback. I mean, the draft board's still looking pretty standard here. Nobody's dropped a ton. Let's go ahead and let it run. C.J. Henderson, the quarterback out of Florida. Makes sense. Chason goes to the Cowboys. Cowboys at 17. They got to be ecstatic right there. Here go those Dolphins. I'm going to let it run. I'm not trying to trade up for the Vikes because I think we've got, I think they've got their eyes on Jefferson, but I don't think they'd move up to get him. I agree, I agree totally with that with what you said there. Yep. I don't know. I think that Lamb is going to be the playmaker, at least initially. We'll see. I mean, I've been wrong before, but I really think Lamb is the biggest playmaker of the wide receiver grouping. But we'll see. You think Chason will bless with the Cowboys? Hopefully. Hopefully. All right, let's let this thing run. The Dolphins are up. Their second pick. Who do they go with before? They got Tua, right? They got to protect him, but those offensive linemen flew off the board. They could use another wideout to pair to get on their team there as well. But I think they're probably going to go. I think they go Josh Jones. But we'll see. Let's let it roll. Woo, they shock us and go tell Delpit out of safety out of LSU. Wow, that's maybe a little early for him. They go to the other side of the ball after getting Tua, so they've got some risk there. Alrighty, but it's done. So here we go. Yeah, I thought that was a little reach there. I thought they could have got him much later, probably with that 26 pick that's sitting down there. But let's let it roll. Raiders, who did they get earlier? Raiders already got Jerry Jeudy, right? So Raiders need help on defense, man. They need some help. So do they go Fulton? Do they go McKinney? Murray? No, I don't think so, man. I think the Dolphins will get this thing right, man. This is the first one where I've seen him do something stupid at 18, but we'll see. We will see. I'm going to let it roll here. The Raiders up, like we said before, they picked Jeudy up already, so I think they go defense here. But we'll see. Let's see if they... I don't know. I'm thinking they go Kenneth Murray here. But let's go ahead and let it roll. Xavier McKinney, the safety out of Alabama. Makes sense. Their secondary needs help too. And they were really injured back there in the secondary as well. DeAndre Swift to the Dolphins? Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't have been shocked if he went off to them right there. But we'll see. We'll see if they get him with this next pick here. So the Vikings have stood pat here. Let me see what's sitting up there. We got Love. I'm going to try to get some more picks for the Vikes here. So I'm going to try a trade. Well, I better figure out where I want to trade to. I did my little overlays and stuff. If that's what you're talking about. That's probably the only thing I do real well. But we're trying to bring this thing up. Alrighty, so let me try to trade here. But how far down do I want to go? I mean, I wouldn't mind Jefferson for the Vikes, but I don't think he's a first rounder. So I'd like to drop down with this first pick of ours. Let me see if the Patriots are calling. Patriots, I'll give you my 22. Because we're talking on the phone with other teams right now, and they want this pick because they want to come up and get Love, and I know you want him. So you're going to give me something for him. How about you give me a fourth? Nope. All right, you give me that extra fifth, and I'll let you move up one spot. All right, so I let the Patriots come up there. Move in front of us. McKinney goes to the Raiders, and then Gross Matos, edge rusher, goes to the Jaguars. And now Philly's selecting. And the Patriots are pretty sure that... Who else might like to move up in here? I think the Packers want Love. I'll take that extra third to move down. All right, so wow, the Patriots moved up to take a cornerback, Kristen Fulton out of LSU. iTest is still mad about the Tua pick. I like Tua, man. I don't know. He's all risk, though. I kind of agree with you. He's an all risk pick because of the injury stuff. But I've always wanted that lefty quarterback for the Vikings. I did a video when my channel first started here that was a like a mock draft, except it was a lottery, meaning there was a wheel that spun to assign picks to the teams. It was really funny. The Vikings ended up with Tua at 21. All right, so you got... I didn't see that. I didn't see the Patriots move up to get a cornerback, but they moved up to get Christian Fulton and gave us, what, a fourth rounder for him? A fifth rounder? And now the Packers are on the board, and I think they're going Love here. I think they're going to take Love as Rodgers' successor, but we'll let it continue. And then I'm going to pause it right away because someone's coming up for Love. Green Bay takes Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU. So now the Saints are sitting there, and they've got Breeze going to retire after this year. I'm going to let it roll. Saints take Trayvon Diggs, who the Vikes wouldn't have drafted anyway. So, iTest, look at the list here and tell me who you think is in on Jordan Love. Yeah, he's just not coming to the Vikes, iTest. He's not coming there. They're not going to take his drama after getting rid of his brother. No way in hell. Who in here is looking for Love? Tennessee? Dolphins will probably go Jefferson, right? If we're not there. Somebody has to want Love. I think Tennessee. But they're going to have to pay to come up and get him. I'm not doing it for a fifth. All right, they don't want to play. Colts. Oh, they're not letting me trade the 25 anymore. They're not letting me trade the 25 anymore. That's what's going on. All right, so let's continue it. All right, Vikings on the clock. I don't know why it's not letting me pick him. All right, so we got Jefferson. Here comes Miami's next pick. They take Espenza, the edge rusher. There went Jackson, who I wanted. And there went Mims. Here's where Love goes. Damn it, they took our offensive tackle. Son of a biscuit. Yeah, I agree with you on Love eye test because he had so many interceptions last year, but there's some teams in love with this guy. They think he's going to be the guy. All right, I might have traded down one too many times, but I'm going to go ahead and take Ezra Cleveland, the linebacker out of Boise State. What the hell happened? I don't know what happened there. I have no idea what happened with our pick there. Let's pause this for a minute. I don't know. I think this thing screwed up. It gave me an extra 3 here. We'll go. We'll just roll with it. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It took my my pick there for some reason. Yeah, I test. I could do that for you, dude. Just hit me up on Twitter, man. Just Valhalla Sports Talk on Twitter, and tell me what you're looking for. All right, so I'm finally on the clock here. I don't know what happened there, but I'm going to redo this right after this one. I don't know what happened to all my picks there. It's like it skipped me there in the first round. Oh, you don't think Jefferson's going to be legit? I do. Hurts goes 76 overall in round 3 to Tampa Bay. Dylan goes to the Rams at 84. All right, Vikes are on the clock here. That pick getting screwed up in the first there, where it just took him for no reason that I could see. That screwed my whole deal up here, but. Yeah, I'm not happy with this one at all. I'm going to rerun it here in a minute. We'll take Ojimoto there. Yeah, this thing just messed me up early on there. So we're gonna, like I said, I'll rerun it back here. I don't know what happened there, that it just basically took my first round pick. I don't even know what the hell I got for it. I'll just let this thing run. Restart it here. Pick the bikes, and then I'll take a quick break. Actually, I'm just going to break right here. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I'm back. We're gonna run this thing back again. TG's checked into the chat there. How you doing, TG? Yeah, the North is always pretty interesting there, TG. I might be biased. I still think the Vikes are the best team in the North. So we're going to run this mock back again. I don't know what happened that last time. I don't know why it just ignored my trade offer there, or why it just took my pick, but I'm going to try it again. All right, so we're going to be part of me thought I should like be all the teams, but I don't want to do that because I don't think I could be fair. I think I'd try to leave players the Vikings wanted, but so I'll pick the Vikings. It's going to be a 7-round draft. We're going to make this thing, I'm going to make it No, let's make it normal. I'll just pause it as we go. Manual draft. EG, you don't need to tell me that, buddy. I get you, man. We need to start winning them big games for sure. I don't know. Maybe the Saints thing turned them around, right? But we'll see. We're going to go conservative, I guess. Well, I'd like it to be aggressive. Let's try that. And trading, I tried it earlier, and if you do this free-for-all, they just take any trade you offer. So we'll leave it on strict, and we'll fire this thing up. I'm going to pause it right away. Holy crap. There's little chance of that occurring, is there? I mean, Cincinnati goes up and they walk up to the podium and they draft Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback out of Alabama, and let Joe Burrow sit out there. So I figure at this point, if this is happening on the night of the 23rd, all hell is breaking loose. Everybody's calling everybody, right? Because they're not going to be in the same place where they can just run across and talk to somebody. So all hell's breaking loose at this point. Washington's sitting there at 2. They drafted Haskins. They're probably pretty. They're probably thinking, what the hell do we do now? We've got Burrow sitting there, but Young is out there just for the taking, like we wanted. I don't know, man. Do the Vikes come up here and take Burrow? Probably not. Am I going to try to do it? It's too late. They won't let me make a trade with him. Let's let it continue. And they take Chase Young, kind of anticipated. So Burrow's sitting there at 3, and the Lions are up. So what do? They got Okudah sitting there, and they've got Simmons sitting there, and they've got Matthew Stafford as their quarterback. What do? I wish the Lions guys were in the stream here. It would just be funny to see what the hell they'd be saying. But let's go ahead and let it run. And they take Simmons. So the Giants are like devastated now. They got their quarterback of the future, right? They're not taking Burrow. The Dolphins are sitting in there and they're like, wow, what are we doing? So everybody and their brother is trying to move up into 4. Go ahead and let it roll. And the Giants take Warfs, the offensive tackle, to protect their new quarterback. So we know what the Dolphins are doing here. They're not trading it. They're taking Burrow. And the Chargers are like, dang it, we almost got him. So the Chargers are sitting there, and they got Okudah, and they got Justin Herbert sitting there. So they're going to take Herbert here, I guess. Boom. Now Carolina's got their new quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. Do they protect him? Let it go? They do not. They get Derek Brown, the defensive lineman out of Auburn. I think TJ bailed on me. All right, so Cardinals are up at 8 here. They're probably taking Willis. And they do. So then the Jaguars, they got to replace Ramsey, right? They're going to take Okudah. And the Browns are going to take Becton, just like the word reads. And then the Jets are going to take Thomas, so all the offensive tackles are flying off the boards. This one's pretty cut and dry, man. The Raiders go Judy. What do the Vikes do here? So they got Judy, Lamb, and Ruggs. They got their choice of the 3 wideouts. Could they move up? I'm just going to let it run. It'll probably go Judy Lamb. No, the Raiders go C.J. Henderson, cornerback. So now you got Judy and Lamb sitting there for Frisco's pick. The Bucs do not need a wideout. So what's it going to take to get up to the Bucs pick here? Frisco's going to go Judy. Frisco's going to go Judy here. So is Lamb enough for the Vikes to move up? Let it go one. Yep, they went Lamb. So Judy's still there. I should have moved up. The Bucs aren't taking him, so I can prove the Broncos here and get Jerry Judy. So let's try. We'll give them 25 and 89. Nope. We're moving up, boys. We're moving up. We're taking Judy. Okay, so the Vikes get Judy at 15 because I moved up, unlike the last draft where I moved down. And now we're sitting here at 22 on the clock. Let's see what we've got looking here. We got, wow, the quarterbacks went. Still got Higgins sitting out there too. Justin Jackson, the offensive tackle. Blacklock. Matos is still out there. Diggs. Diggs is going to be there. I mean, he's definitely going to be there. Just looking us in the eyeball. It's too early for an inside offensive lineman. I'm taking him. Austin Jackson, offensive tackle, USC. Now, we don't pick for a long time now. Let it run. So it starts rolling quick then, right? We gave a lot up to get Judy. So we're going to have to draft smart coming through here now because we gave up a lot to go up and get Judy. But we did get at the offensive tackle. We're sitting here at 89. Let's take a look at the board. Isaiah Wilson, offensive tackle. So there's some OTs sitting there like in the top. Oh, that's what I'm looking at here. So I'm thinking I want to trade down here a little bit. Tony Pride sitting out there. I'm going to take Pride. I won't pick for a bit now, though. We'll go through this one at the end and see where, like, everybody went. Man, Gannon Goldie went to the Cardinals, man, at 131 just before he went on the clock. I don't know. I think it's safety, maybe. I just don't like any of the edge guys that are sitting out there still. I mean, not in this spot. This guy's dropped a little bit. Let's go with him. So we're 5 picks in here. We got Judy, Jackson, Pride, Ojemudia, and Simpson. We've still got 5 picks remaining in the draft. We'll take Wanham from South Carolina there. Okay, so we're back up on the clock again. We'll take Levonta Taylor. Three selections left. 6 and 2/7, so here's what we got so far. We're on the clock at 2:08. Can't really take a cornerback again. Let's take this guy out of Baylor. Then we're back on the clock at 2:07, 2:20. And the running backs are kind of picked through at this point. All righty, and we're going to close this thing out with so that's it. We'll save that and we'll go through it here real quick. Hey, what's up, Blitz? All right, so let's review this second one we did here. So we traded up in the first there, and ended up getting Judy in a trade. Moved up to 15 to take him. So Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver, out of Alabama there, and then we protected Cousins with Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle out of USC. And then we went cornerbacks back to back with Tony Pride out of Notre Dame and Mike Ojemudia out of Iowa. And then we got in the middle of the lines with John Simpson from Clemson and DJ Wanham, the edge rusher from South Carolina. And then Levonta Taylor, another cornerback from Florida State. And then we got into the 6th and 7th there and just kind of took flyers on a defensive lineman, a tight end, a linebacker, and an edge rusher. How you doing, Blitz? Kind of go through how this thing went down, okay? So the Bengals shocked the world in the first round there and took Tua instead of Burrow. And then Chase Young went off to the Redskins. The Lions were sitting there with a decision to make and picked Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker out of Clemson. Wirfs, the Giants had to be pissed that Simpson went off the board, and they took Tristan Wirfs, the best offensive tackle in this draft. And then the Dolphins had Burrow drop into their lap at 5. Justin Hebert, the quarterback out of Oregon, went 6 to the Chargers, which is no shock. All the picks kind of went the way I anticipated after 4, 5, and 6. Derek Brown went to the Panthers to protect Teddy at 7. And then Wills, Okadua, and Becton went 8, 9, and 10 respectively. So then we got into, a lot of offensive tackles went off right away. And then we got into the wide receiver portion of the draft. Frisco got CeeDee Lamb to pair up. Jerry Jeudy was sitting there, so we moved up to get him, and we got him at 15. The Falcons, replacing some folks they lost in free agency, got Kevon Chason, the edge rusher out of LSU. Ruggs went to the Cowboys to pair with Amari Cooper. Josh Jones got some protection for Fitzgerald down there, who I can't believe that's who they're going to go with as their quarterback, but they got some protection for their quarterback. Justin Jefferson went a little earlier than anticipated to the Raiders at 19. And then Love went to the Jaguars. I didn't even catch that when it happened because I was trying to move up. Austin Jackson to the Vikes at 22. Seahawks get their pass rusher at 27. So that kind of puts the Vikings back in play for Everson Griffin. Should he not sign somewhere after the draft, they would probably try to bring him back home. T. Higgins, the wide receiver from Clemson, goes to the Ravens at 28. So now they've got 2 unbelievable speedsters on the outside there. Blacklock, the defensive end, goes to Frisco to shore up that defensive line, like they need help there. And then Swift ends up going to the Chiefs at 32. Unbelievable. That would be a big addition for the Super Bowl champs there. And then we got into the second round, and we started seeing some people that have dropped a little bit compared to where we thought they were going to go, right? So you've got Rager, the wide receiver from TCU. He was kind of projected to go in the second there, but Queen, I've seen him in a lot of pre-drafts, and he's supposed to go first round. Brandon Ayuk goes a little bit earlier than I thought to Arizona State, and the Chargers add a playmaker in Laviska Shenault. Ezra Cleveland in round 2 to the Bucks to protect Tom Brady there, and I think Cleveland's going to be something in the NFL, so that was pretty interesting. Jonathan Taylor goes to Atlanta. Atlanta gets their running back to back up, I guess. They just signed Gurley, didn't they? So that would be an interesting pick. Hurts to the Eagles. That's kind of a different deal. Carson Wentz gets some competition in that backfield there. 62 overall, the Green Bay gets Bryce Hall, the cornerback out of Virginia. That seems like a deal to me. The Redskins get Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back, for some competition in that backfield there. Just so much value between the 50 area and all the way down. Van Jefferson goes to 80 to the Raiders, and I think he's going to be I bet you he's one of the top 4 out of this draft class. Tyler Johnson, the wide receiver out of Minnesota, ends up going to the Packers. That would be horrible. No, we didn't take Tua, but Tua he got picked 1 overall by the Bengals in this mock. And that sent Burrow dropping a little bit. We took Tua in that first round, the first draft that I did. Actually, it was one I did when I wasn't even on camera that I messed it up and took him, but no, we didn't take him in this one. So round 4, there's still lots of talent on the board there that's going off. A.J. Dillon to the Bucks. Driscoll, the offensive tackle, to the Redskins. I wish there was a way on this system to look at the different teams. Let's see if there is. Oh, these are the consensus picks. So we ended up with Judy at 15, and the consensus was always that the Raiders were going to get him at 12 there. Thaddeus Moss, the tight end from LSU, goes to the Patriots at 125 in the 4th. Break my heart. It would break my heart. Antonio Gandy Golden goes to the Cardinals at 131. That would be a way cool pick. Yeah, it's interesting as you go through all of them. So just reviewing the Vikings selections here in this second try tonight. We ended up moving up for Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver out of Alabama, and then got Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle, at the 22 spot in the first round. And then we went back to back with cornerbacks, getting Pride and Ojemudia to shore up that secondary there. Hey, Rick H., welcome to the stream, man. Welcome. We just finished it was our second mock draft of the night. The first one that I did, I was trying to make a trade, and for some reason it glitched out a little bit and like took my pick. So I got about halfway through it and just gave up and let it auto draft. But this one here, we moved up We moved up from 22 and ended up taking Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver out of Alabama, as he fell. He fell to 15. This one was really weird, though. You don't usually get them where they start off. This one started off real weird with the Bengals taking Tua instead of taking Joe Burrow. So Miami was rejoicing, I'm sure, in the streets as that occurred. And then Simmons went to Detroit, which you guys, I think Gridiron might have been happy there, but it would have made me scream out loud. Because I don't want him in Detroit. I want him in Minnesota. He's my favorite player in this draft. Other than Burrow. I wish Burrow ended up in Minnesota. I think I might take a break and do one more and try to trade down instead of going up. But appreciate that, Blitz. Rick was in here the other night for the yeah, that's kind of true, Rick. I was kind of like, I hadn't seen that yet. That's why I think I want to do one more. Because I really think for like the Vikes, I think if we're sitting at 21, 25, whatever, that the players that are left there and most of the mocks that I've done, it almost behooves them to move down and try to get more of that talent in like the 2 and 3 round. Because there is a ton of talent from like pick 32 through like 88. Yeah, they would have probably rioted in Cincy, Rick, if they picked picked Tua over him. But you never know. Weird shit's happen. A couple years back when Manziel got picked number 1 overall, I was at work just before I came home for the draft, and I told the guy that I was working with, I said, if I had money to burn, I would call Vegas right now and bet that Manziel's going to go number 1 overall. And everyone was like, bullshit, you don't know what you're talking about. And sure enough, less than an hour later, and I think the odds were like crazy too. I think they were like 75 to 1 or some shit like that. And I would have made a lot of money. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right, so we're working on 8:51 Arizona time. Go ahead and put that up there. I'm going to put a little. Have Thor keep an eye on you guys, and I'm going to go take a restroom break here and be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Hey, if you guys are still in here, let me know if you want to make the picks for those two teams. Let me know quick though, because I'm about to fire this bad boy up. Get Thor off the screen there. I guess you guys stepped out. If you're there, let me know real quick here, and I'll let you make the picks for those two teams. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and reset this draft board here. Alrighty, Blitz, we'll go ahead and roll it. Let's see, you'll be able to at least see who you got here, I guess. Alrighty, so we're going to Mock Draft Simulator. I'm going to try to trade down this time, but we'll pick the Vikings again. It'll probably take, I don't know, probably less than 30, 40 minutes, Rick, if you got time. If not, I'll just make the... You want me to do your team there? Let me know, Rick. This is your chance, Blitz. This is your chance, man. Make that pick. I'll just pick him anyway, and then... All right, man. We'll make it go fast here, Rick, so we'll get you in there. So we'll make it a fast draft, 7 rounds. I got the Lions pick, too, if Blitz wants to make that first rounder or whatever for him. Manual, conservative, strict trades, and let's start this puppy. We'll pause it right there. So Burrow went, Chase Young went, and the Lions are on the clock. Who do you want, Blitz? So you're sitting there, you got Okudah, Tagliabue, and Simmons. So this one made more sense, right, Rick? Burrow went, and then Young went to the Redskins. Lions are on the clock. If Blitz gives me a pick here pretty quick, I'll throw him up there for him. If not, he's getting Okudah, who you don't want. All right, so I'm going to try to trade up here to get to the Lions pick. I mean, to the Giants pick. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. All right, so we're going to let this run. The Lions are going to take Okudah, the cornerback. All right, Rick, you're up. Tampa Bay's up. So Okudah went 3 to the Lions. Simmons went, as expected, to the Giants. 2 was drafted by the Dolphins. Herbert to the Chargers. Derek Brown to the Panthers. Jarek Willis goes to protect quarterback in Arizona here. Judy, Ruggs, and Lamb go just before Tampa Bay goes on the clock. So who you taking here, Rick, at 14? You got, I'll let you see who's up there on the board, on the overall board. So you got Werfs. Move this up just a bit. So you got Werfs, Thomas, C.J. Henderson, Taylevon Chason, Justin Jefferson, Love, Josh Jones, Christian Fulton. I'll take you through the different positions so you can see it. Werfs, good pick, man. So Werfs is going to Tampa Bay. I really want the Vikes to get him, Rick, but here we go. Werfs going to Tampa Bay. Draft board's running. I'm not even going to try to do no trade down so this thing goes quick. All right, the Vikes are on the clock at this point at 22. Thinking maybe Higgins, but our bigger need is right here. So Josh Jones dropping to us right here at 22. I'm going to take him. Patrick Queen goes off right after me. Guess I want to go wide out here. It seems like Higgins comes to me every time. Our needs here are cornerback, wide receiver, edge. What about a cornerback? Cornerback better than... I want that wide out, man. I want Higgins. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take Gladney. All right. If you're in there, Blitz, let me know. I'm about to pick your next player. All right, so Lions up at 35 on the clock. They just took a cornerback in the first round. So I don't see them doing that again. They need defensive linemen. You know who... Oh, man, I screwed it up. Hit the wrong button, Rick. I don't know if I can fix that. I screwed it up, Rick. I screwed it up. I hit the wrong button and it backed out of there, so I'm going to go ahead and shut that whole puppy down. So we tried it, Rick. We tried to make it happen, but I'll let you guys get to bed. That's gonna end our little live stream here tonight for the draft. What a bummer! I hit the wrong button there to go backwards and close the whole thing down. And we got more people in chat than we've had the whole night. Of course, that's how things work. I'm tempted to do it again, but. So it kind of, it goes according to the consensus is kind of how this thing drafts for the most part. So if you're looking at like the Vikes here, they said Higgins was going to be a big one at 22. Interesting. Anyway, that's gonna conclude tonight's little draft preview show here on Valhalla Sports Talk. I might do this again because it was pretty cool. It's kind of a cool setup where you can make people pick. All right, Rick, you stay safe too, man. Watch for the next one. Thank you for coming in. Hit that like on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't. And looking forward to this. Like we got streaming down there. We're gonna have that draft party on the 23rd. Got some things planned for that should be pretty cool. And thank you for tuning in to Valhalla Sports Talk tonight. Again, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and appreciate it. And you guys have a great evening and be